Hey, I'm James from Smoke Dad BBQ, and today I'm going to do a detailed overview of my brand new backyard offset smoker, how I sort of ended up landing on this particular one given the abundance of choice and options that are out there, as well as give you a complete overview, if you've never seen it before, of the Smoke North Carlisle 60-gallon offset smoker. Let's get into it. All right, let's get started with offset selection. What was I looking for in a backyard offset, as well as why didn't I pick some of those name brand familiar names that we've all maybe heard of, like the Franklin offset smoker or mill scale or workhorse or something like that. So in terms of pit selection, what I was looking for, I knew if I wanted to go down the offset path, I wanted to get a real offset. There's a lot of smaller offsets you can get that run maybe only on charcoal or wood splits, but if I'm going down the offset path, I want the real deal. I also know from eating food off a number of different friends and other offsets that I wanted more of a Texas style airflow. While the reverse flow pit might work great on a 500 or 1,000 gallon, I've just not found something that fits in my backyard that produces the quality of smoke that I'm looking for. And so this led me to two finalists really, which was the Workhorse 1975 as well as the Mill Scale 94. They're both very comparable in size. And I was going down that path pretty aggressively until I got out my measuring tape and some green painter's tape and started to sketch out the footprint that this would take up in the yard. And I was having a hard time figuring out where is this thing going to go. Even at a small backyard offset size, these are still pretty substantial in terms of their overall footprint. And that's why I was so excited when I saw the details for the Franklin offset smoker emerge, and I quickly joined the wait list and got my confirmation that I was on that list over a year ago from the time of recording this video, because it did a couple of things really, really well. It has that proper Texas style over the top airflow that I wanted without any of those baffles or reverse flow things that I know just typically didn't work as well from any experience I've had in a small backyard offset. It had a great tall stack and an appropriate size cook chamber. You know, they say you can cook 2-3 briskets on that no problem. And for us and our family, this is plenty of capacity. But with the benefit of having a year of waiting, there's been an opportunity to see a number of reviews come out. And there's a few things I can't say I'm thrilled about. First is the smokestack with no adjustable damper. And in the dead of winter where I am, it is really, really cold. And I can still burn a clean fire and adjust that damper down and retain a little bit more heat inside my offset and not be going through wood splits like absolutely crazy. So to not have that choice wasn't something that I didn't absolutely love. Plus, as Jeremy from Mad Scientist pointed out, if you happen to be in California and you need to be able to completely extinguish your fire before you can leave the pit, not having this option isn't really ideal. The second thing that I didn't like seeing a couple other review videos was how the door is cut out. So it's laser cut out, which is very precise, but because you're cutting the metal and reusing the metal that you've cut out of the drum, it's not going to be able to close and seal. And so in the case of the Franklin pit, you're adding a flange in behind, but this was not smoke tight and is leaking smoke. And at this sort of price range, I didn't want to have sort of a leaky smoke pit. And then the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back here was really getting into the firebox. And once again, the same laser cut style is done here to reuse as much of that metal as possible. But after a couple of heat cycles, I'll show you a clip here Jeremy shared from Mad Scientist, where that door no longer will completely close properly. And so this combination of these three factors, plus, you know, it's been over a year and I'm not close to the list. And then lastly is the shipping cost to where I am. So to come from Texas all the way into Canada, it's not so bad if you're shipping in the States. You can get it pretty much anywhere, or if you're coming from Canada into the States. But our border tax agency loves to mark things up. And I had a friend get a quote on another Texas offset, also from near Austin area, and it was over $10,000 to his backyard, and that's just absolutely crazy. But after that experience, I knew that I liked the idea of sort of that smaller 60-gallon offset style, the proper Texas over the top, airflow, a nice tall stack, 1/4 inch or better stainless steel or steel and stainless steel components. And with that information, my search began to what led me to the Smoke North Carlisle offset. So after spending some time on Google, I wasn't having any luck finding an offset that met this very specific criteria. So I started to look into local pit builder options, as I thought that would be the only path that I had. But that Google search ended up letting me find Smoke North, which happens to be just about an hour away from where I am. And so I started checking out the Huron, which was very similar to the mill scale 94, but for the same reasons as I didn't want to go with that. I didn't really want to look at the Huron either, as it's just a little bit too big for my backyard. But then when I saw the website get updated with this bad boy, the Carlisle, which is very similar in shape and dimension to the Franklin pit at around 60 gallons, I knew we might be onto something. And so now I started to check for a couple other things. So one, it's made from all premium grade North American steel and stainless steel components. This one, just a little bit over 700 pounds of steel that went into that. Plus, from a design perspective, there's a couple things that I like. I love here that the door is from a fresh piece of rolled steel, so it completely overlaps the edges and you don't have any of that fitment issue. And then in terms of the firebox, I love the design here. So it's a semi-insulated firebox. So again, with my cool climate, this will help make sure that I'm able to maintain a coal bed, but I also didn't want fully insulated. I already have plenty of insulated ceramic style cookers that retain heat really well, but at the expense potentially of getting a nice clean fire. So this semi-insulated firebox really had me interested. Plus, at a 1/4 inch steel with that semi-insulated, you've got really a 1/2 inch of steel on the bottom and over 3/8 of steel on the door. So everything that needs to be sort of extra thick and protected was there. And then the little details like this folding out drawer, I was a big fan of. I've used a couple other grills that have sort of the slide out trays, which when the grill's brand new is fantastic. When you look at that, you're like, oh, this is perfect. But when you've got a bunch of ribs or a brisket on there and you pull it out, those things all drip just grease onto your patio. And if you're on a deck or a patio stone, I didn't love that. I started to look at the details, a tell-true thermometer. I even approached a local friend who's a welder and checked out this pit to say, okay, I don't know anything about welding. What am I looking for? And he told me that he, as a professional welder, couldn't make this exact pit for less money. It was really, really well made with really quality welds, and he ordered one. So I figured I was already down a good path. Some of the other details that are interesting to check out. So tell-true thermometer is included, 8-inch rolling casters, which makes this easier for me single-handedly to move it all the way around the yard. Some great upgrades. I already mentioned the pull-out shelf as well as the cover, which helps keep it protected from our nasty climate. But again, included, you've got this curled handle on the door as well as on the firebox itself. Couple other things while we're on the features that I absolutely love. We also have the sort of stainless steel cutout for the bottom for storing our wood. And then for the drip pan, unlike the Franklin pit I mentioned, which is not sealed and could potentially be another source of air and mess up with where you're drawing air in and which direction your fire's going, getting good clean smoke. This one is completely sealable with this adjustable handle, which makes it really easy to empty this pit when I need to get the grease out of it, but at the same time not make any new sources of air coming in and messing up with our airflow. And then again, with the stainless steel in our cooking grids, we've got these laser cutout cooking grids that not only look great, but they're going to last a lifetime. So I don't know if it comes through on camera or not, but beaming, absolutely thrilled with this purchase. And I've waited about 6 months since taking delivery before doing this video, since I know whether I recommend it or not, anything that I show on the channel is maybe going to get some exposure and promotion. I want to make sure it's something that I would recommend to my family and friends if they were also going to follow suit and buy one just like I did. But 6 months in, I can say I'm still just as ecstatic firing up this offset as the day I got it. I've had the opportunity, even without good weather, we've gone through beef ribs, baby back ribs, St. Louis ribs, chicken, steak. I've got a brisket in the fridge nearly ready to go, and I'm having a blast. So that being said, let me know if there's something else specific you'd like to see me cook. I've got a whole bunch lined up as the weather gets a little bit more friendly as we head into spring and summer months, but let me know if there's something you'd like to see down in the comments below. So one more thing I forgot to mention earlier, since yours truly, or at least I'm going to take credit for it, actually had a role to play in creating this shelf option. When I first took delivery of my Carlisle, this wasn't an option on the website, and having a couple months of cooks under the belt, I was noticing I was just missing a workspace to put things. And so I reached back out to the company and started to ask for a solution. And after a lot of back and forth and chat, I was so pleased to hear them take the feedback and actually make this upgrade available. And as a thank you, since this is an idea that I know I care deeply about, Smoke North is offering a save 25% on any pit upgrades, either on the Carlisle or the Huron, the larger, bigger brother, if you check out the details through my link below. Not sponsored, but a big thank you to Smoke North for taking customer feedback and incorporating that in the video. And more importantly, if you're interested, passing on a deal that might save you some money on any of those upgrades. That's it for today, though. I'm James from Smoke and Dad BBQ signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.